What's up, guys? It's
Christian here.
and on tonight's episode, it's gonna be a nice one,
Special one.
special one. So, turn on, tune in, drop out, because we about to ride this wave of weird. As we enter,
As we exit.
oh no, why? What are we exiting?
It's our last episode of the season, Anderson.
As we exit 111. What's good?
What's up, me?
You know, just life in general. Everything's good. Everybody's happy. Busy. Happy.
Yeah, good stuff. Busy. I know life's hitting you hard right now.
Yep. What do we have on tonight's agenda?
Tonight, we're going to recap season 1. We're at the end of season 1, guys. Can't believe it. 25 episodes, 25 strong. Haven't missed one yet. And we're going to exit and say goodbye to all of our friends out there until we revisit next season.
Till we have more sleep paralysis experiences.
Until we have more weird experiences to share with you guys. We've had a couple in the last few. So,
I mean,
you know.
have you? So we took a break. This was the first time we took a break from editing because we did 24 episodes, literally every single week,
back to back.
From May
every
10th.
Tuesday, we brought this content to you guys.
Yep. So the last, I'd say, 3 weeks, we took a break.
Yep.
And so, have you had any weird occurrences, any synchronicities, any paranormal experiences?
I haven't had one personally, but I had one happen to my mom, which was very special. She hope she doesn't mind me sharing this with you guys, but I love hearing these experiences that like my friends come to me with, because I have friends who watch the show, and I have another friend that had an experience similar to this a while back, but I'll tell you that in a second. But my mom just had one. She just recently bought a new truck. She was looking for something that, you know, she could just use on, you know, her property. And when she bought the truck, she found some change in it, and she sent me a picture. And she found some change and a couple buttons or something like that, and she took a picture and sent it. She's like, "What do you see in this picture?" And I'm looking at the coins. It didn't take me long to, you know, kind of come to the conclusion that she had $1.11 in her truck. After I counted all the coins together, I was like, oh, 111, I see.
So you're like, Ma, you're entering 111 now.
You're entering 111. You're entering a safe space.
That's when you know that, all the syncs will start to happen, and you probably have a lot of interesting.
Yeah, it was a really good moment for her because she was really looking for something, you know, similar to that, and, you know, the purchase, I mean. And so I think she was real happy from it. So I think it was a good moment for her.
It was like a good omen, right? Like she knew she made the right decision.
Yeah. And then a while back, I had a friend of mine who, he was a car salesman at the time, and he had just gotten a car in that had 111,000 miles. And he sent me a picture of it, yeah. And he was like, "Dude, is this a sign?" I was like, "You tell me, like, what's going on in your life right now?"
Wow.
So those are always fun.
I think my favorite one is when you finally caught a break.
Yeah.
With your car.
Yeah,
I think to me
sure.
that was like, because I know how hard it is to try to stay like positive and optimistic when things just keep like, when life just keeps like throwing punches at you and jabbing you in the face, and then all of a sudden
it's rough. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you had that big like, wow, unexpected, like prayers out of nowhere that you didn't even know.
Wasn't even expecting.
Yeah.
And
did we already give them that?
I don't think so. I had some car troubles this summer, and I thought my car was just done with, wasn't salvageable. And I ended up getting some advice to take it to the dealership, which I was a little hesitant about at first. Did that, and I was expecting them to hit me with a really huge number. And actually coming to find out I had extended warranty. And it was fully covered.
But the funny thing is, usually the reason why you don't take it to the dealership is because you've always been like, you know, you're constantly inundated by people around you that are like, never take it to the dealership.
Yeah,
are you crazy?
definitely.
That's expensive. They're gonna charge you so much more.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's funny that you went shopping around and you were gonna spend
I was so close.
lot of money, like a lot of money. I remember I was like, just buy a new car.
Yeah, I took it to a little mechanic shop down the way, and the guy was giving me crazy numbers, you know, and I was like, dude, like for that amount, I might as well get a new car. Like that was the debate. And I was like, I don't know, man. Like I'll have to get back to you. I have to get a second opinion. And that's when I took it to the dealership because I was like, well, you know, if I'm going to pay those kind of prices, I might as well pay them at the dealership.
Yeah,
you know?
And it's the manufacturer.
Exactly,
of your car.
Exactly. And you know what you're spending, and
if they mess up, it's
on them.
Yeah,
it's covered. So that was a godsend for sure.
But what was your what was your initial reaction when you found out that it was like fully covered, that you had extended warranty? Like, what was your...
My heart skipped a beat. You know, I was on the phone because I hadn't heard from them like for a week, and they were like, yeah, we'll get back to you as soon as we find the problem. And I waited a week and a couple days, and I called, and my service advisor answered, and I was like, yeah, can I get an update? Like, I haven't, you know, like, what's going on? And he was like, oh, yeah, so we went ahead and ordered... he's like, okay, so we're going to have to replace this and replace this, but that should only be like a couple $100 for that and maybe $100 for this. And, oh, yeah, and then we also ordered the engine, and that's on its way. And I was like, whoa. You ordered the engine without my approval? Like, what's that going to cost me? And that's when he was like, oh, I thought you knew. You didn't know you have extended warranty. And I was like, no, I didn't know.
Like, hold on, let me go back and run the information. Actually, ma'am, you don't have it.
Sucked so bad, man. I would have been so mad. No, yeah, I was like, oh my God. Like, I was over the moon. It was like a big weight off my shoulders. Like, I could just feel like the tension, the pressure just like off my shoulders. And like, I took a deep breath and I was like, wow, God is good, because I had been praying like, okay, please, like, don't let this bill hit me too hard. And I mean, I know I'm gonna have to pay something, but you know.
So the feeling that you got, that, oh my gosh, like it's handled. That feeling, that joy, that like gratitude, that moment, that's the moment that like you practice every day when you wake up. That sense of gratitude, but it's not just like saying it, but it's like feeling it to that degree.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you're going to see that basically it's all about like self-awareness, perspective. Yeah. You're going to have like, you won't have really bad days, you know, because you'll be aware of, you know, what's going on. And
what does Cammie say? Attitude of gratitude.
Yeah. Yep. Taught my goddaughter that, and she still remembers it. So
she gets it.
Yeah. That was one of my favorite moments that happened, was that you finally caught a break, because I was just like, I don't know like how to tell you like to keep staying positive even as bad as it was, because that's usually when people are like, man, this positivity stuff is BS, man. Like, I've been trying to think good thoughts and I still get kicked to the curb, you know, but I feel like sometimes that's like the universe testing you to see if like you're all about it or if you're just like imposter.
Oh, dude, the universe has been testing me this year to the max, you know. And it's funny because I try to come back to what we preach, you know, what we're constantly on this show talking about, what 111 is, you know, and like what I feel like we can inspire others to be, and that's staying positive, you know, carrying good energy, and like you said, like I feel like I've been tested this year for sure. And I'm not going to lie and say that like there weren't times where I was just like, damn, like you're right. Like I felt like I couldn't catch a break, but you know, it's about perspective, man. Like you just got to like look at, okay, is it that bad? Like, what are you grateful for? Like, what are the good things going on right now in your life? And, you know, put them on the scale, you know, and like I feel like most times I had more on the, good side than I did the bad. And you have to count those. Those are the ones that make, you see like, all right, what do I got to do to handle the bad? Like, So I think the show has really helped me in that aspect. Just practicing what you preach, taking it into, like you said, like your everyday life, and just counting those blessings for sure. So that was a big one for me too.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie.
Well, I want to share a story, because this one, like, it was a really weird but good blessing that happened to me recently.
Yeah.
So I always mention like my uncle David, who passed last August. Well, not last August, but August 2001. And he was like my brother.
2001?
Sorry, 2021.
Like, okay.
Woo! I time jumped a little, sorry. Yeah. And we were like brothers, and losing him was like a really hard, pill to swallow.
Yeah.
Like I still try to deal with it day to day, but some days it's easier than others,
For sure.
So before he passed, ever since he moved to Fresno, like, because he used to live in Reno, ever since he moved to Fresno, he just had a lot of bad luck, like a lot of misfortune, and just his life just went downhill.
Yeah.
Like his physical health, his mental health, and it's crazy to see that happen as somebody that was so on top of everything. Mm-hmm. Like I looked up to this guy. He just had everything like figured out.
Yeah.
It just seemed like there's nothing that David couldn't figure out. Mm-hmm. He was extremely bright. He was extremely smart. He had a lot of my influence was from David, like especially growing up. Like anything he did, I always wanted to do. So I remember going back home probably in like 2016, 2017. And whenever I go home, like one of my favorite things to do, and I do it every time I go back to visit my parents and I go into my childhood home, I'll always go in my bedroom and I'll bring out my old digital 8 camcorder. Mm-hmm. And I carried that thing with me like since 2000.
Wow.
All the way to like 2006. I filmed literally like everything. Like vlogging wasn't even a thing, but I was doing it back then.
Yeah.
And I used to always film like our get-togethers. Anytime I go visit David, I always filmed it.
Yeah.
I always did. And so that's something I would always do every time I go home. I'd always like just like reflect and then see kind of like, what it was like back then.
Yeah,
and
for sure. Your
just
home.
memories. It's like a time capsule,
Sure.
So this year in particular, I think it was 2017. That's when my fiance went to go visit with me. Mm-hmm. And we were at my grandfather's house, and we brought all the tapes, and we were watching like all these old tapes as a family, like not just like my immediate family, but like my cousin, my great uncle, like everybody was in this house because it was a family reunion essentially.
Yeah.
And there was footage that my little cousin Caitlin, she at the time I think she was like 15, but I had filmed this video for her when she wasn't even born. Mm-hmm. I filmed her mom, my aunt, when she was pregnant. And we did this whole documentary for her about what life is going to be like when she's born. It was so like, it was so sweet. It was just so like, I don't even know what made me think of filming a baby shower like that, where we were talking to Caitlin through the camera. And I was like, Caitlin, when you're born, you're going to look at like our clothes and like think that it's silly, or, this is your mom's favorite nephew. So you're probably going to be really close to me, it was really neat. So we did all that. We viewed all those, like a bunch of those tapes. I had a box. I probably had like 300 tapes, right? Do you remember that movie American Beauty? Mm-hmm. Who was that guy? I was that guy, except I wasn't as like, introverted,
Creepy.
creepy. Yeah, like I filmed everything. And there was a box that went missing from all 300 tapes. There was a box that probably had like 25 tapes that went missing.
I remember you'd come home. You'd come back from being home, and you'd be like, Christian, I still can't find. I'm still missing a box of tapes.
Yeah.
Like I still can't find that box. I remember.
Yeah, and this box of tapes had like really important moments. Like I had this trip to San Francisco where I think I had just turned 16, and I went to go visit my Aunt Napar and then my uncle and like my Uncle David, and we went to San Francisco, and it was such a fun and memorable trip. I remember living during that time, saying, I will never forget this.
Yeah.
And I filmed a bunch of it, and I couldn't find that tape for the life of me, and I was like, I don't understand where it went. And I kid you not, like, for a while, I thought maybe David had come over to the house and like took some of those tapes with him. Like, I don't know why I thought that, because anytime I'd come home, he'd be like, hey, let's watch those tapes, because I filmed so much of him when he was, so those were like, when he was going through the rough times, looking back, those were all the good times. Those were the good old days.
Okay.
So for him, it was like, man, I miss this. Like, it's so nostalgic, and he's a sucker for nostalgia. So he'd always be like, let's watch them. And I'd be like, all right, yeah. But then I could never find this box of tapes. I was like, man, I'm missing these tapes. So that was 2017. 2018, still looking for them. And I still have 3 big shoe boxes full of tapes, double stacked. I mean, it was loaded. Like I watched through almost all those tapes looking, and I'm like, I don't know where they'd be.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find it. And every time I'd go home, sometimes there was like one year I went home like 3 or 4 times. And I searched under the bed, in the closet, and I could not find it. And I was asking my brother, I was like, Jimmy, where are these tapes? Like, I don't understand. Did we drop them and lose them? I thought maybe I left them at my grandfather's house. No, like there was nowhere to be found. And it's just like, I told you every single time coming back, like, I'm missing those tapes. I want those tapes so bad.
Yeah.
So fast forward to this last trip that I went home. Well, actually, this so when David passed away in 2021, I was going to put together a slideshow. And I was like, no, I want to put together like more like a movie, because I have so much footage of him.
Sure.
And he lived such he was such a good dude, and he was so inspirational to a lot of people. He was he was the epitome of like, a very caring person.
Yeah.
He made friends with everybody. So I was like, I just can't make this movie without those tapes that I'm missing. I remember clearly that there was footage that we have when we're on that trip in San Francisco, and my aunt's filming both of us. And I'm silly, She was like, hey, tell me something. Tell the camera something nice. And I said something stupid like, the sky is blue, the trees are green, and the Chinese food sucked. And my aunt was like, Anderson, come on. And I was like, what? It's true. Because she took us to this like Chinese food restaurant in San Francisco, and we did not like it. So then she films David, and she's like, David, your turn. And David looks around. He looks up, and he just says, the world's a beautiful place. And I was like, man, it stuck.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I want to use that.
Yeah.
That would be perfect in his movie.
Yeah.
Couldn't find that tape. So I'd say this last December when I went home, I was like, I looked again. I couldn't find it. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to just accept that those tapes are gone.
Yeah.
But I still prayed prayed for them. And I even said one time, I think it was like back in once I moved to, my new home, I was like, David, I know sounds impossible, but just please help me find those tapes. Like, I just want those memories. Like, I really want to find those tapes. And I think it was like the end of January or into February. I got on my computer and I was going through some old hard drives, and I was watching that family reunion from 2017. Mm-hmm. And my friend Bup is filming us with my camera, and he's like interviewing my fiance, and he's interviewing me, and he's like, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" And I was like, "Oh, we're just having a family reunion, and we're going through a lot of these old tapes, like when we were really young." And then I see a box that was not a shoebox, because I thought they were all put in shoeboxes. Mm-hmm. But I saw this one box. It was an Amazon box. It was a smaller box, smaller than a shoebox, but it fit like at least, I'm pretty sure there was like 20 or 25 tapes in there. Mm-hmm. And I pressed pause on the player, and I was looking at it, and I was like, that's the box.
Oh, wow.
I was like, that's the box. That's where those tapes are. We just need to find that box. That box has to exist. Yeah. Because they never went into a shoebox. Yeah. We thought they were in a shoebox or in a bag, like a loose bag.
That's why you could never find it.
Yeah, could never find it. So then I sent that screenshot to my brother, and I was like, dude, look in the room, and if you find this Amazon box, that's where the tapes are. Mm-hmm. And he's like, okay, whatever. And this is like a long time ago. Mind you, nothing, no response, never said anything about it. Yeah. So I go home, Christian, and just to preface this, like, I'm about to have like a really big momentous like occasion in my life. I'm getting married, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I need to put a slideshow together, because I made everybody slideshow growing up for all their weddings. Yeah. So I was like, it's only right to do one for myself and my fiance. And I go home this last October, mm-hmm. and I kid you not, I go into my room, I put my things down. Actually, I don't even check that night, I don't think, or did I? Yeah, actually I did. I put my things down, and I look in the closet, because my closet only has one door with a mirror, so I can always see one side. And I look in there, and I'm like, what is that box? There's just a box sitting on the ledge of a shelf, a top shelf. Mm-hmm. And it's just sitting there, and it's an Amazon box, and it's a small box. And I look at it, and I'm like, what's that box? I've never seen that box. And it was dusty. It was full of dust, Christian. Like,
yeah, like I've been sitting there for a while.
Yeah, so then I go into my brother's room, and I go, hey, what's that box sitting in the closet? And he turns and he looks at me like this. He's like, what? You know, and I was like, what's that box in the closet? Are those my tapes? Are those the missing tapes? He's like, yeah. I was like,
when did he find them?
I was like, what? I was like, are you serious? He's like, you happy? Are you happy? I was like, yeah, I'm happy. Dude, that's like a miracle.
Yeah.
And he's like, I found them back in like February. I was like,
oh my
dude,
God.
And you didn't think to tell me?
Oh, so he probably found them as soon as you sent him that screenshot.
And I was like, where was it? He goes, it was wedged way underneath the bed. Like, it was so far back there. He said he had to move like he literally took everything out from under the bed.
Anderson, that's so weird, because he said that he found them in February. You moved into your new home around that time, and that's when you talked to David and asked him to help you find the tapes.
Yes.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
That's
right?
really crazy.
And I was just like, man. And so to me, you know, not trying to find like patterns or like, you know, make things more than what they are, but to me, I feel like that was David's gift.
Yeah.
Because I swear on my life, I had looked under my bed every single time I went home, and there was never an Amazon box under that bed.
Yeah.
My brother said it was wedged all the way in deep into where, like, if I slept, it was where, like, my head would be, you know? And he said he could barely see it. It was like he was like, no wonder nobody could find it because it was so wedged in there. It was so dark.
Wow. The tapes weren't like destroyed?
No, the tapes were all literally like the San Francisco tape was there. And I immediately pulled out all my old camera gear, played it, literally recorded that night, started transferring all that footage.
Sure.
And I was just like, this is like, I can't even believe it. So not only did I find that tape where I watched where, I said those dumb things, and it was that trip in San Francisco, but I found this other tape, and this one like got me. I found this tape where we were celebrating my 25th birthday. And in the video, this is like me, like almost like in my prime in terms of like my headspace, my positivity. I had been like meditating for like 2 years prior, like I just went on this soul journey, and I was like in a really good spot then. And I had everybody at my cousin's house, and we were outside in the backyard, and I was like, hey, can you guys give me some words of wisdom? And the camera was going around to everybody. Mm-hmm. David was sitting next to me, and I was like, David. Actually, no, David wasn't sitting next to me. I think I was sitting across, but I was like, David, words of wisdom. And he was just like, he said, what did he say? He said, if you do what you like, if you do what you love, you'll be fine. And I was like, if I do who? Because I was a clown.
Yeah.
He goes, if you do what you like, if you do what you love, you'll be fine. Just like that. Mm-hmm. And I was like, thanks. And we went around the table. And then it goes to a scene where I'm standing around a table with 2 cakes. And I was like, look, I get 2 cakes for my birthday. And David's standing to my right. Mm-hmm. And I'm drunk, okay? I'm like really tipsy. So it's like I'm trying to be like... I guess coherent while like being like super intoxicated. Yeah. And I remember saying to David, I go, dang man, I can't believe you made it. I can't believe you made it here to visit me. Mm-hmm. You drove all the way from Reno. Like I didn't even know you're going to be here, but man, you always make it out. I was like, you always make it out to see me. Yeah. And I said, you're like my angel. You're always there for me. Mm-hmm. I don't remember that. Wow. How crazy that it was! Like he wanted me to hear that. Yeah. I was like, wow, that is crazy.
I'm sure you did, dude. I mean, you guys were close. He was like a brother to you. I know he's your uncle, but y'all are close in age. Mm-hmm. And grew up together, and I'm sure he knows that he wants you to know that he's always with you.
Yeah, it was just so like heartwarming. I was like, oh, this was just like. Man, I needed this more than I knew. Like, it just was the perfect way to, like, get closer to celebrating, like, my big day, Yeah. And so, I finally found those tapes. And not only that, there was another tape called, like, Summer 2003. And I put it in, and it's, like, me interviewing David when I went to go visit him in San Jose. And not only that, but... he goes and he hangs out with his best friend at the time. They're still best friends, right? And then his group of best friends from like elementary and high school. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even know that existed, And so like it's so cool that I get to be the one to be like, here you guys go. Here's a pocket of memories that you don't even recollect.
Don't even know exist.
Yeah. And you get to watch like this moment with your good friend.
Yeah. That's why I think it's so funny that like if you know Anderson, he always has a camera in his hand. Like any event he goes to, like outside of work, just in his personal life, just always has a camera. And oftentimes you will have people who will give you a lot of crap for constantly filming, like, damn, dude, you're filming again, like, or people who don't want to be on camera, or you'll get grief every now and then for it. But look at what you have now, like, because you do that and because you capture those moments, you can now share a piece of that with people who, were special to David. And, so like, I think it's a really cool thing, dude. Like, you're capturing moments, you're capturing memories, and holding on to them, because our memory fades over time.
Yeah, you don't.
Big time.
There's so many things that I was watching that I was like, I don't even remember this day.
Yeah.
Like I had stuff from high school, filming literally sober grad night, graduation night, and it's just like, none of my friends have it. And I used to be the guy in the group. And I think I was influenced from like my cousins, all like my girl cousins, because it was like more like a girl thing to do at the time. I feel like to take group pictures, like how everybody does selfies now. But back then, like if you went to like a school dance, I don't remember a bunch of dudes like, hey, let's get a group picture, guys. Like, it just wasn't. It was more like the girls that were doing it. But because of that influence I had at such a young age from like all my cousins, my girl cousins, I took on that. Like almost like responsibility amongst my friends to do that and to force them to do those things. And they'd always be like, this is lame, bro. Like, come on. I'd be like, just don't be a sourpuss. Let's just go take the pictures, right?
Yeah.
And I sent a picture from a school dance from 8th grade to one of my good friends recently. And he was like, thank you so much for that. Because he's like, that's like a gem to have, it's cool. It's like, I had like a box full of pictures. Like I used to print pictures all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
And like I used to carry, because back then we didn't have digital cameras. It was all analog, all film.
Yeah. And
I didn't really, I remember I didn't have an actual film camera of my own until I was like, I think when I was like 20, I bought a Nikon off of my friend Nick. But before that, I was just always carrying those disposable Kodak cameras. Yeah. I always had one in my pocket. Yeah. And it had 30 shots.
You had to wind it.
You had to wind it every time. And then you'd have 30 shots.
I always had those, dude. Always, yeah.
And so, like, I had it's so cool because, like, every time I go home, it's always like going down memory lane. Every time for me, it's really like a nice way to reflect, and especially the times where, like after the whole COVID thing, it had been like almost a year, close to 2 years since I had been home.
With the traveling restrictions and not wanting to get your relatives sick if you travel.
So it was like a year and 8 months because it was August, and that was the month that David passed. That's the reason why I went home. And so, like, just being home and looking through all, like, the pictures and stuff, I was just like, this is crazy. Yeah. So, but, that was my, like...
That was a big one for the year, for sure.
Yeah. It was such a blessing.
That was probably the most, that was special.
And, like, it's so bizarre. Like, I'll have dreams that feel so real. Like I told you last Saturday, I took a nap during the day.
That one was weird, too.
And I dreamt that I was hanging out with David, and... It wasn't David where I last saw him. It was David from when I saw him on that tape. So it's weird that like it imprinted into my headspace. Yeah. Because that was like the last time I remember him being like super healthy and like he was good, And in the dream, I just remember like hanging out with him, and all of a sudden it hit me in the dream. Like I remember telling him like, man, this is crazy, but I'm about to have like the biggest day of my life, and you're not gonna be at my wedding. Yeah. And he looks at me, and he does the same thing like in the video. He pats my shoulder, and in his like low speaking voice, he's like, "Don't worry, Andy, I'll be there." And I woke. Yeah. And I woke like, crying like in real life. I was like, "What the heck?"
He wanted you to know.
You know what I mean? It was just so like, wow. Yeah. The dream didn't feel like a dream. It just felt like I shifted from like another reality back into this one. So. What
is it about those naps that just give you the most profound dreams?
I don't know if it's because like your mind is more active because you've kind of, you shouldn't be sleeping. Mm-hmm. And so maybe like, I don't know, maybe you have more thoughts going on. Because, you know, at night you're tired, you're resting. It's almost like just putting your brain on autopilot, and you
That's
just
true.
have like these fantastical visuals and like
Yeah.
random things. But then a nap almost kind of feels like, I don't know, like you just pause, or like you escape this reality, and you just, you know, awaken another. Because usually that's where, you know, you also experience a lot of sleep paralysis.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you can always induce it, like, not always, but it's easier to induce after like a big meal and you fall asleep from food coma.
Yeah.
Then your body is like so exhausted and it's asleep, but your mind is like, hey.
It's running wild.
Yeah. So, but anyways, I digress. That was just a little bit about some of the synchronistic things that have happened recently. And no, I'm really proud of us for following through with this show.
Yeah,
you know,
for
like
sure.
looking back, I feel like we've had so many good conversations. Like, I really like the first 3 episodes that we did, because we didn't have the mic stands, the mic arms, and we had to use one single mic in the center.
And we didn't really have like a flow down.
No,
we were like
didn't.
working on a flow. It was like, okay,
Yeah.
we're almost there. We're almost there. Yeah.
Yeah, and then when we had the very first guest, that episode you weren't able to
No,
attend.
I wasn't able.
Yeah, and that night was just like, oh my God. It's just like out of a movie scene.
Yeah.
But it was so much fun. And the problem is, like, we want to do so much, but we're so limited on time.
Yeah.
Not just like our time, but the guest time.
Yeah, because, you know, you obviously don't want to keep them longer than you should.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, if we could keep you here for like a few hours.
Yeah. Because, like, the goal was to always have, like, this format where we would film and record our podcast, and afterwards we would do some form of marketing with it. So we'd do, like, a photo shoot right after.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, it's not just, like, pull up the camera and shoot. Like,
No,
we
you
had to,
gotta
like, turn on the camera
fix your
timer.
lighting. Yeah.
Got to do the lighting. So it takes a lot of time. So we were only able to really do, like, photo shoots on 2 of our guest occasions.
Yeah. 2 out of, how many guests?
4. We had 4. Yeah. What do we have in store for next season, Christian?
Next season, we have a bunch of awesome special guests on the agenda.
Yes,
I'm
we
excited
do.
to talk to these folks, share their insights, pick their brains, you know, a lot of good people. I'm looking forward to that. And then just journaling from here till then, our experiences, you know, so we can have some good content to share with the folks.
And that's the thing is, like, when I recently made a post about, like, you know, thanking everybody,
Yeah.
and I said, like, you know, because really this is, we talk about this stuff, like, on a daily basis. Like, it's not exaggerated.
It's not just for the show.
No, like, it's always, like,
Everyday life.
yeah. And we always have a bunch of, like, very unique conversations about really strange things that occur. So, no, it's been really fun. You know, I feel like we have a good base, you know, especially for how we, you know, bring our special guests to just our opinions, like, you know, because we're not a science. Remember, we used to always reference that because we didn't want people to be like, man,
this is not a science-based
they think they know, but, you know, a lot of it's just opinion.
all opinionated.
Yeah. What was your favorite episode that we did?
My favorite episodes have been our ghost stories,
Mm-hmm.
because that's another one that you're just on memory lane, and then you're just like investigating the paranormal. You know, I think our first ghost story episode was my favorite because it was something a little different than we had done before. Everything else was, you know, on our normal topics. And I just remember that night we just had so much fun. Like, that episode just seemed so, like, effortless.
Yeah.
You know, and we were like, we finished recording and we were like, damn, that was an hour.
Yeah.
You know, and I couldn't wait to do another one, you know. I I think those are always the fun ones. I mean, there's a reason why people like, gathering around a campfire and telling ghost stories. I think it just brings people together in a way because, like, everybody has some kind of a weird moment to share.
Whether you believe in ghosts or not.
Whether you believe in ghosts or not, for sure, So I think those were pretty cool. Those are my favorite.
What about guest-wise?
I don't have a favorite. Like, they were all great in their own way. I think we had a bunch of different personalities on the show, Unfortunately, I didn't get to meet Justin and Kirby. Hopefully, we can bring them on again soon. But, like, when I watched the content, when we went through, like, revisions and stuff, I was like, damn, they're really cool. Like, fellow creatives, Kawa's visit was awesome. We got to see what it's like to be in the mind of a Green Beret, and what that takes. And then, we got to revisit and go over his paranormal activity experiences, his weird alien experiences and stuff. And those were fun. The Briones brothers, again, more fellow creatives. That was a fun
night.
That was a really fun night. They were so cool.
They were so hyped on the horchata.
Oh my gosh, the horchata. Yeah. We need to make that our signature move for season 2.
Do you guys always do this?
Yes.
I was like, no. Not yet, but thanks for the tip.
Exactly. They were cool, man. Like, getting different perspective on, being on their kind of sets. That was badass. And then Jerry, going through another fellow creative's mind, and the artist process. That was a fun episode too. And I like how he gave us that idea of doing a board for our future guests, to leave their signature mark somehow. I think that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But no, what about you? What was your favorite guest?
So I think having guests on really just kind of changes the dynamic because, you get to hear their perspectives on things. And it's nice to also, it's nice to also hear, like, their thoughts on, like, either movies, their creative process, the whole UFO stuff, ghosts, paranormal experiences, because some people don't have experiences like that. So it's really, I think the most intriguing was probably Kawa's episode where he talks about his time on that show Contact. Just because, like, for me, I've always been, like, really into, like, UFOs since I was little, and it was just so crazy to, like, imagine, like, from his point of view, being on a show where you're, like, that is what you're doing, investigating, like, whether UFOs are real or not.
It was so unexplainable.
And then just to hear, like, the stories and, like, what he had access to seeing was just very crazy. Like, to think that he got to sit in a room looking at old archival footage from, Santiago or Chilean government, their form of NASA, and he was able to see some of the stuff. That, to me, was like, dang. You actually saw that. Like, he was like, this wasn't like, Billy Joe Bob filming with his camera and it's shaky and you can't tell like what you're looking at. This was like full high definition, like you could see everything.
They took him out to sites and stuff, actual sites. That was cool.
I think the story where he's telling us where they took him up to that higher area. That one was like, that's just, to me, I still am in awe. You know what I mean? Like, it's so hard to, like, believe that, that stuff is real. But then again, it isn't hard to believe because
it isn't hard to believe.
It isn't hard to believe. It isn't, because I'm telling you, like, some of the experiences that I know you've had experiences like that, but, like, some of the experiences that I've had, I'm speechless sometimes. Like, things that are just so bizarre, like, unexplainable things, Like, to me, this was probably also one of my favorite episodes where we finally, because it was so personal to me, and it was hard for me to share it, because it was so personal and it was so like deep for me.
But it got good feedback.
Yeah, it did actually. People were like, "Whoa, that was weird," because at first I was like, maybe it's not that big of a deal. But then after like hearing everybody else, I was like, yeah, it was a big deal. Like, okay,
Don't sell it short.
It was really
deal.
weird. So, and just growing up, like that was always my thing. Was especially ever since The Matrix came out, it was like, I remember when
I bet you got that your whole life.
Oh my gosh! Ever since that film, I get it all the time. Yeah. Like, does at least 10 times a year, at least bare minimum. So like I remember when that came out, I felt like, is this movie made for me? Like, is it trying to wake me up? Yeah. Like, is this literally trying to wake me up right now? That movie had that effect on me, and Fight Club had that effect on me.
Okay. Yeah,
where I remember walking out of that theater and I was just so confused. I was like, why do I feel like dizzy? Like, like it like spun me pretty bad.
Oh, wow.
But I feel like it's because like it resonates so deeply with me, and it made me question like my reality and like just everything about life itself,
That's good storytelling.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then to have David Fincher direct it. Yeah. I also really liked how we did a couple episodes just purely on cinema.
For sure.
Because
that's
fun. Those are always easy because we love it so much,
so
like
near and dear.
When we saw Everything Everywhere All at Once, and I was just like, was that for me? Was that movie for me? Like, did they make, because like, like when they were doing the different outcomes, and it just reminded me so much of like our occupation. Yeah. And I'm like, is this for real?
It's
like
weird.
Yeah,
dude.
it just
it's too weird.
You don't really like correlate until you really sit down and reflect.
Yeah.
Like watching that, like I had so many correlations, and I was just like, is this for me? Is this like, is everybody watching the same movie? Because some people didn't have the same reactions that we had.
Yeah, that's true.
And I was like, why did some people like get so heavily involved when other people are like, it was all right. I didn't like that scene with the butt plug.
If you didn't like that scene, I don't know you, because that scene was hilarious.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, there were so many concepts in it that I appreciated. And then when we went to go see, we were supposed to, so this is the behind the scenes, but the night that we did the episode for Nope, we actually were supposed to do 3 episodes at night.
Yeah.
But before doing those episodes, it was like a last minute like decision to go to the movies and go watch Nope.
Yeah.
You remember that? I was
that
like,
just came out. Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? Let's just go watch Nope and let's review it.
Yeah.
And that was fun. That like literally after we watched it, we came here and we recorded.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a lot of fun times.
Would you put those topics that we were supposed to do back on our board, and we'll have to bring those in for season 2?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, I'm very grateful for this season, dude. Overall, hopefully we make more content, for the viewers to jam to, and let us know what y'all want to hear.
What was y'all's favorite episode?
What was y'all's favorite episode?
Yeah, and then we haven't really had a lot of interactions with any of our listeners, so interact with us.
Yep.
Yeah. I feel like next season is gonna push us to the next chapter of like this whole podcast stuff, just because of some of the concepts that we have bringing up that we're gonna talk about. This was just like child's play. Do you remember that? When I kept making that big deal during Halloween of like 2018, I was like, this movie's called Child's Play, but it's really Chucky. Nobody remembers it called Child's Play. Yeah. And I went that whole night, I was like, Child's Play? Who? Do you remember it being called Child's Play? Nobody refers to this movie as Child's Play. They always refer to it as Chucky.
Yeah, no, you're 100%
you
right.
That?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So, just wanted to express our gratitude for all the listeners that have, listened from day one. Appreciate all the support and
appreciate you.
Hope well wishes to everybody listening. Sending out good vibes, and remember, attitude of gratitude. And what else we got?
Go into 2023 strong.
And how do they find out more about us?
You guys can always find us at Enter111. We're on all socials. Like Anderson said, we'd love to hear from you guys. Let us know what you guys want to see for next season so we can do some research and, add a little bit of feedback from you guys. So Enter, ENTER, the number 111, ELEVEN. Reach out, guys.
That's it.
That's it.
We're exiting 111.
We're exiting temporarily for now.
Temporarily.
Until we come back.
When we enter again, we're going to enter life through the ween. Christian, what was living life through the ween?
What do you mean?
Where did that term come from?
Through your epiphany, right?
Through my dream. The
was
dream
it a
world.
Dream?
Yeah, it was a dream.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if it was just like a thought moment.
No, it was during COVID.
Yeah.
It was like July that year, and I had that dream, and I woke from that dream, and I typed it into my phone right away.
And I remember the next day at work when you came in and you were talking about it, and I was like, that's a weird.
Yeah.
That's a weird phrase.
One reality, another reality smashed together, and we're in between it, and we're getting one extreme and then our normal reality.
Yeah.
So we're living through that ween. Yeah.
It's been fun, guys. Thanks for joining us. We do appreciate you.
See y'all soon.